All right.
Clock isn't what it was.
Okay.
6:33.
All right. Well set. We'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the prayer. Dear God, today as this session opens, we pray that your presence will be before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilor Mendonça.
Here.
Councilor Broderick.
Here.
Councilor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Donahue.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Mayor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armin Mercia. Here. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo. Here. 9 present.
9 present. Recognize Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I request a moment of silence with darkened chambers for Edward D. LaLasha, son of former state representative Edward A. LaLasha, a loving husband, father, and grandfather. May he rest in peace. There'll be a funeral mass tomorrow morning at St. William's Church in Tewksbury at 11:30 a.m.
Thank you. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in darkened chambers for Queena Flomp Tragus, a graduate of Lowell High School, UMass Lowell, and Fitchburg State College, where she received her master's degree in education. Queena was a teacher for the Lowell Public Schools for 40 years. For her many years of service and being so well loved, the teachers at the McAuliffe School asked that her name be honored at the entrance to the school on Beacon Street some many years ago. I was happy to present that request in the form of a motion to the City Council. Queena was the past president of the Alumni Association of UMass Lowell, past board member of the Holy Trinity Church, and former chair of the Lowell Cultural Council. She was a board member of the Hellenic Cultural Society, Hellenic Historical Society, Friends of the Pollard Memorial Library, Lowell General Hospital Auxiliary, and Order of the Eastern Star, and many other organizations. She leaves behind 2 sisters, Clem Alexis and Elaine Karanis, and a brother Spiros. She, without a doubt, was a queen, and she will be truly missed.
Thank you. If we could rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers in their memory, please. May they rest in peace. The first item on the agenda this evening is a presentation by Gunther Wellenstein, the recycling coordinator here in the city of Lowell, to address the council concerning America Recycles Day. Gunther.
Mr. Manager, good evening. I wanted to take a couple of moments this evening and share with you sort of an update of where we stand in the city for recycling. I also wanted to bring to your attention and hopefully allow the paper campaign that Mass Recycles has put together to be signed as a group and join the other communities. I think there are 178 communities that have already signed this resolution for paper recycling. First, the way things have worked for calendar year 07, our recycling rate is at about 10%, same as last year. We've saved a lot in trash tonnage, but at the same time, the recycling overall has gone down, so the percent is the same. So we're hoping that America Recycles Week and the mass paper recycling campaign will add to our numbers by the end of this calendar year, and certainly through the rest of the fiscal year. One of the things that the Mass Recycles paper campaign has alerted us to is that right now in the state, we're throwing away 1.5 million tons of paper. So what does that mean, in terms of volume? And the way they've described it is if you took Fenway Park, the entire height of the Prudential Building, that's how much volume of paper the state throws away. And what does that mean if we could recycle that? Even if we just recycle 2/3 of that, it's about 3.8 million barrels of oil in terms of resources. So it's a great resource that we should be collecting money for, not paying money to have disposed of. 177 million gallons of gasoline equivalent. So there's a lot of value in that resource, and we're hoping that we can educate the residents. We welcome them to come down and see the recycling display balance of this week in the first floor, the foyer of City Hall. Please do come down. One of the things that is important to Lowell, important through my office, is that we increase the recyclables, take them out of the expense of disposing them as trash. So far this year, we've collected 36,000 tons of trash and recycling, and only 2.5 tons of that has been as recyclable. So we have a long way to go to get our 10% up to be much higher. At the national average, about 20% of residential refuse is paper. So 1/5 of all of that tonnage should have been collected as recyclable, and that would be about 7,000 tons. If we take the balance that we have yet to collect out of the recycling and pay $125 a ton to have it transported and incinerated, that value is $700,000. So right now, for calendar year 07, we have disposed of $700,000 worth of paper. At the paper mill, they're paying cities and towns and recycling companies $80 to $100 a ton for paper. So instead of spending $700,000, if we were collecting that and taking it to the mill and getting a redemption value, we could be earning $700,000. So I think it's really important that the residents know that all of the paper material comes out of the trash budget, and we should be saving that. So let me take a moment and read a few lines from the Mass Recycles Paper Campaign resolution so we can put together the 350 communities in the state. And Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection estimates that citizens of Massachusetts throw away 1.5 million tons. I'd mentioned that. It costs the taxpayers in the state $100 million to dispose of that resource. Post-consumer paper is a valuable commodity that, recycled, generates millions of dollars for cities, towns, and even businesses. Recycling paper saves energy and reduces greenhouse gas emissions. Recycling adds significantly to the Massachusetts economy through the creation of nearly 20,000 industry jobs with a combined annual payroll of $557 million. So it's not just good for the environment, it does employ fellow residents in the state. Many of the Commonwealth citizens and businesses are not aware of the broad spectrum of paper products that can be recycled instead of being thrown away. So I hope that we can all get together, sign the campaign as a council, as a city, and participate with the rest of the state. Any questions?
Thank you, Gunther. Councilor Armin Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mayor, well, do you have any idea of why that's happening? Why is it's such a beneficial thing for the city that the people that should be participating in that are not to the degree of only 10%? Is there a sense of maybe they're not educated about it? There's not enough information getting to them?
A lot of it has to do with education. A lot of it has to do with social awareness and whether they care what they're doing to the environment or what they're costing the city in tonnage. And there certainly are some outreach venues that I'm pursuing, grants with the state to translate our literature into 3 of the most popular languages in the city and mail those out in the foreign languages. And hopefully that will help us get more people involved. I know that the recycling bins are flying out of my office Every quarter, we hand out about 1,000 recycling bins, so it's not a complete lack of interest.
Thank you.
Councilor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If it's appropriate, I would move that we suspend the rules and allow the resolution to be voted this evening. I know we have a copy of it on our desk, so I would move that.
All right, motion to suspend the rules to entertain the resolution by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Rita Mercy. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The rules are suspended, and a motion to adopt the resolution by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Rita Mercier. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So we adopt the resolution, subject, I think, to review by the Law Department.
Fine.
And we'll sign that at the first available opportunity.
Thank you,
And-
councilors.
Okay, any further discussion?
I just,
This
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Coffey?
I just want to compliment Gunther Waldstein. He's doing a great job in the recycling program. We've had many people in charge of the recycling programs, but you are really enthusiastic,
Thank
and
you.
you're really putting your best foot forward, and we certainly want to improve that 10% to hopefully 25%, so
Yeah,
thank you for...
Our goal is to beat our sister city, Worcester, and they're at about 40%, so we have a ways to go.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Broderick.
Thank you. I want to echo that as well. Gunther, you've done a tremendous job. I see you have tidbits in the newspaper consistently and trying to reach out and educate people. I think Councilor Milonazo and I filed a motion way back when in terms of some type of program for trash for people to recycle. I don't know, what's the difference between Lowell and Worcester, aside from geography and size? Why are they at 40% and we're at 10? I assume they have similar neighborhoods and similar citizens as we do. Do they have a pay-as-you-throw system? Do they have some other incentive-based program where people are realizing that it makes sense and it saves them money to recycle? Because that's what it's going to do. It's going to save the city money. People don't realize that we charge a nominal fee for trash. It does not pay for itself, in that whatever we have to make up is made up through the tax rate or through our tax revenue. So it is going to save each and every one of us if we all participate in recycle. So I was curious, I know we've had a number of things on our plate, if you could maybe even, through the manager, come back with some information for us in terms of what can we possibly do? I mean, we started an environmental subcommittee and green building, but this is so fundamental. I just think there's got to be some type of literally incentive that people are going to have, because obviously, we've been talking about it for a year, and the numbers, I thought we were at 13% a year ago, or maybe that was 2 years ago, but it seems almost like we've done a backslide, which to me is terrible news. It's, what, $52,000 per percent?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of the reasons that we've dropped is that the May floods of '06, all of that solid waste generated was included in the city's totals, which we didn't have a whole lot of recycling to offset it, so we did drop.
Okay, so so then instead of necessarily a drop because of the one-time hit we took, it's about equal. Even still, I mean, with the resources that we're putting into it, the time, energy that you and your department's putting forth, I mean, the manager looks like he has something to say. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Manager?
I didn't want to cut you off, Councilor. I just, I certainly think that the numbers that we have here in the city of Lowell are much worse than our peer communities. Worcester, of course, is the model, and they have had a pay-as-you-throw system, I believe, since 1988 or thereabouts. A number of communities have gone to a pay-as-you-throw program that does hammer home the point that disposing of solid waste costs money, and recycling saves money. There are other communities that do not have pay-as-you-throw, but they have much better numbers than we do, and I'm at a loss to determine what that is, because clearly the city, through Gunther's office, has done an outstanding job of educating people to the importance of recycling. I think the report that we gave to Councilor Broderick and Councilor Milonazo's motion regarding pay-as-you-throw basically said that we would continue to explore this moving forward, and I think we need to revisit that and take a look at it and come back to the council with an update on that, as I think we indicated that we would in early 2008. So we will be doing that, and we'll get you that information.
Okay, thank you. There are other models, too. I would just suggest, Mr. Manager, I know, for example, Methuen just adopted a policy of just refusing to pick up cardboard as part of the, in the solid waste stream, and all cardboard had to be recycled, or they just would leave it there. I think that's part of why some of us are leery that if we, push too hard, that there'll be a litter all over the city. So it is a balance, but there are models in addition to Worcester, so I think it's timely to come back and see what other options we have available to us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gunther.
Good evening.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the November 6th meeting. Motion to approve by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Mendonça. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved. Under communications from the city manager, we have various responses to council motions and requests. Any discussion on any of those items? Okay, hearing none, motion to accept the communications placed on file by Councilor Milanazzo, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The communications are accepted, placed on file. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager to lease 12 parking spaces in the Leo A. Roy Municipal Parking Facility to the United States government. The motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Rita Mercier, second by Councilor Caulfield. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title. A vote authorizing the city manager to lease 12 parking spaces in the Leo A. Roy Municipal Parking Facility to the United States government. Motion approved by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Broderick. Any discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milanazzo?
Yes.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to request approval for the following plan change to the Acre Urban Revitalization and Development Plan from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development. This is a plan, well, I guess why don't I read it? Whereas the Acre Urban Revitalization and Development Plan was approved and accepted by City Council vote dated June 8, 1999, and plan was further approved by DHCD of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts January 27, 2000, and was amended by the City Council December 10, 2002, approved by DHCD on December 31, 2002, and further amended by the City Council January 14, 2003, approved by DHCD February 5, 2003, and on February 25, 2003, approved by DHCD on March 10, 2003, and on July 22, 2003, approved by DHCD August 7, 2003, November 25, 2003, approved by DHCD December 27, 2003, on April 6, 2004, approved by DHCD on May 5, 2004, and on February 1, 2005, approved by DHCD March 1st, 2005, and August 14, 2007, and approved by DHCD October 1st, 2007. Whereas a notice of approval of plan and declaration of restrictions was duly recorded with the Middlesex North Registry of Deeds on April 12, 2000, Book 10761, page 2, and whereas in furtherance of said plan, a change needs to be made to the status of a certain property because of private investment in the acre to rehabilitate an existing property in a manner consistent with the acre plan. Whereas 760 CMR 12.031 requires that requests for plan changes submitted to DHC require resolution from the operating agency adopting the plan change. Now therefore be it voted by a 2/3 vote that in furtherance of the Acre Urban Revitalization and Development Plan, the city manager in the name of the city of Lowell is authorized to request the following plan changes from DHCD. Amend Section 1C2 parcel listing to change the status of parcel 333, disposition parcel 169 to acquire, from acquire to not to acquire. And be it further voted by the city manager that the city manager is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to submit a request for approval to the aforementioned plan change to DHCD.
Move
Questions?
approval.
Motion to approve by Councilor Armin Mercier, second by Councilor Rita Mercier. Any discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Mendonça?
Yes.
Counselor Broderick?
Yes.
Counselor Caulfield?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Counselor Armin Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, Massachusetts, with respect to Chapter 18, Article 4, entitled Rates and Charges. This item is the water rate increase. This matter is to be referred to a public hearing on November 27th. So moved to refer to public hearing on on November 27th by Councilor Milonazo, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter will be referred to a public hearing on November 27th, 2007. Next item is a loan order to borrow $1,436,000 for the purpose of financing Phase 1 of the improvements at the Lowell Memorial Auditorium and any related architectural and engineering services in connection therewith and cost incidental and related thereto. This matter also gets referred to a public hearing on November 27th. So moved by Councilor Donahue, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of referring this matter to a public hearing on November 27th, say aye. Any opposed? I'm sorry, Councilor Donahue. You have a question on this?
Yeah, on this, I just wanted to also, if there's no objection, refer it to a subcommittee so that prior to the public hearing, so that the management company and/or trustees can come and walk through the updates that are needed and go over the proposal. I mean, I think we all know, the auditorium needs work done, and, including roof, there's substantial repairs. And so I think it would be helpful if if a subcommittee, I mean, there isn't one on the auditorium, I mean, whether it's economic development, finance, whatever.
I would second that we go to the Economic Development Subcommittee.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
So,
sorry.
so moved by Councilor Donahue to send to the Economic Development Subcommittee?
Well, I think the reason being that it's an attraction. We're talking about raising ticket or doing a surcharge in order to pay for some of these things. So, I guess it could fall with either one. It really doesn't matter.
I think, if I may,
Coun-
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Armin Mercier.
I think it's important that it be sent to some subcommittee, just to make sure that when we hear from everybody, that we're bonding the right amount, and that we're not shortchanging the need that exists there, and that we hear from the auditorium people to see if this is exactly what it's going to take to do the Phase 1. So I don't care what subcommittee it goes to, but I think it should be deliberated at some subcommittee.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Broderick, did you have?
No, I think either one, or joint, if people want to do a joint, but I think the key is to talk about it, make sure it's a correct amount and what exactly it's going to be used for, and then what step 2, I understand, we're going to have another phase, so find out what we're doing.
Yeah. Actually, it should go to the Finance Subcommittee,
Finance
because we're talking
Subcommittee.
about finances.
All right, so the motion then is to refer this matter to a public hearing on November 27th, but in advance of that, also to a meeting of the Finance Subcommittee. That was Councilor Donahue's motion, so moved and seconded by Councilor Broderick.
Okay, all right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The matter is referred to a public hearing on November 27th and a meeting of the Finance Subcommittee to occur prior to the public hearing. Okay, the next item is a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift from Kennedy and Company Landscaping Nursery and Garden Center of approximately 30 ornamental and shade trees to the City of Lowell. Motion to waive the first full reading by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor of waiving the first full reading say aye. Any opposed? The first full reading is waived. Second reading by title, a vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept a gift from Kennedy and Company Landscaping Nursery and Garden Center of approximately 30 ornamental and shade trees to the City of Lowell. Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager, I know that you're firing off a letter of thanks to this company in Acton, and I just want to say that this isn't the first time they have donated all type of nice, beautiful ornamental trees and things. This is really quite a remarkable gesture on their part to be spreading this out to the different parks in the city. So I know you're going to thank them, so I won't ask you to do that.
As soon as the council votes to accept
Yes.
it, it will be gone.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, so roll call on the vote to accept the gift.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the vote is approved. Next item is an appointment to the Lowell Cultural Council. A letter from the city manager, dear Mayor Martin and members of the city council, pursuant to the authority vested in me as city manager under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 10, Section 58, and 962 CMR, Section 2.04, I have appointed the following person to membership on the Lowell Cultural Council, Richard Douglas, 1087 Middlesex Street, to fill the unexpired term of Andrew Wetmore, which term expires August 22nd, 2009, or such time thereafter, until a successor is appointed and qualified. Under the above referenced statute, confirmation by the city council is not required. I have enclosed his resume for your reference. I would be happy to answer any inquiries that you may have concerning this appointment. Very truly yours, Bernard F. Lynch, City Manager.
Accept the communication, place it on file.
Motion to accept the communication placed on file by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The communication is accepted, placed on file. We'll move, it's 7 p.m., so we'll move to public hearing. The public hearing is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances, City of Lowell, with respect to Appendix A thereof entitled Zoning by amending various sections. There is a report from the Planning Board on this matter that was left on councilors' desks, I believe, this evening. The Planning Board does recommend approving the ordinance. However, they suggested one change to correct, I think, what is a typographical error in the original proposal. So we'll open the public hearing for those wishing to speak in favor. Anybody wishing to speak in favor? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this ordinance? Hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody wishing to speak in opposition? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition, hearing none, that portion of the public hearing is closed. What's the wish of the council?
Move approval
Motion to approve
with the change.
the ordinance as proposed with the amendment as suggested by the Planning Board by Councilor Caulfield, seconded by Councilor Broderick. Any discussion on that motion? Roll call.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, the ordinance is approved. That brings us to subcommittee reports. Councilor Donahue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a meeting of the Public Safety Subcommittee earlier this evening to take up two matters. One had to do with the reporting of the uniform crime report or statistics that we all received from the chief and now sworn Chief Kenneth LaValle of the Lowell Police Department through the manager. In essence, the report, which takes the statistics for an annual basis, showed some mixed results. There was significant progress in decreasing gun violence in the city of Lowell. The chief reported that over 50 guns were removed from the street. The police department has seen success not only in curtailing gun violence, but also a decrease in gang activity, and that was the result of a number of initiatives, including implementing overtime from the Shannon Grant, and also utilizing joint work with other agencies, both federal and state, including the Sheriff's Department. Overall, there was an increase in certain types of crimes, namely armed robberies, and the chief reported that these armed robberies can be almost categorized as a result of or related to drug addiction, They have to do with, for example, robberies of convenience stores and so forth, and are largely fueled by drug addicts looking for monies. The police, this has proved to be a tough issue for the police department. They've worked on this, trying to attack that in terms of special investigations and details, and there have been armed robberies in the last several weeks. They are hoping to make a dent in that by utilizing other strategies. He reported one thing, that the city has received a $300,000 grant from the federal government for hotspots, so that type of grant can be utilized, trying to attack things such as, increased in this type of crime or nature of crime. He also reported that the police department has increased some staffing on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights in order to address issues in the downtown from the 10:30 to 2:30 a.m. Period, and will continue to do that. We did receive information in our packet regarding there'll be 10 new police officers, 4 which are lateral transfers from other communities, and 6 that will be coming on board from the academy, and that they will all be on board by next week. And so that will bring the staffing level higher, but we're still down actually significantly from what was the optimum number of staffing in going back to the days of the COPS program in the city of Lowell, when we had a complement of 260 police officers. Chief LaValle told us that we are now at, or will be at 230, as I understood him to say, with these 10 officers.
With the 10, we'll be
We'll
up
be
to
at 240. And he would like to see by the end of the next year up to 245. And the staffing is really important, because when you look at these issues where there's an increase in crime, for example, the drug unit, the chief has said that he wants to implement additional personnel in the drug unit to address these things, like armed robberies and so forth. So in addition, though, the report also showed a tremendous increase in clearing crimes, and so those are good news for the city. And overall, I think the report illustrated the needs in the city, and also that the department, under the direction of Chief LaValle, will work very, very hard in terms of improving this. Now, there was some discussion regarding the lateral transfers from other communities. For example, many police officers from other communities expressed an interest in coming to the city of Lowell to work here for future advancement and the like. But were told that when they came that they'd have to take a significant decrease in pay in order to do it. And so many of them simply couldn't do it. And so these are challenges that the police department faces when we lose officers, for example, to Boston and to other communities, and we're trying to replenish them with seasoned officers. But it's hard to entice them here when they have to take a $30,000 plus annual decrease in pay. They have families and the like. So it's something that we're going to continue to work on and struggle with, but it's a challenge, and one that the chief is very well aware of. The other issue that we took up, and I know the members of the subcommittee may have more to add to that, but another area that was referred to us had to do with the indemnification policy. This came to the council last week or the week before in final form. We've spent a great deal of time working on this policy. The law department, I want to commend, had put together a policy that not only implements a process to be followed when it comes to indemnification, but it's also very progressive I believe we're one of the only communities, if the only community, that has gone to this step and really clarifies what the city's responsibilities are, what the officers' responsibilities are in terms of notification, and a process to be followed so that people aren't guessing as to what should happen. That was received, worked on by the council, by the subcommittee, and also was forwarded to the attorney for the Patrolmen's Union, who was satisfied with the final language. Likewise, for the Superior Officers Union, it was forwarded to them, and they reviewed it, and we were advised that it was acceptable to them. So the subcommittee approved a motion to recommend adoption of this indemnification policy to the council as a whole. This is a really important step. We know we've spent a lot of time talking about a problem of a particular officer, which was one that put the city and the officer in a difficult position trying to resolve a very important issue. But I think the adoption of the policy and by the council does more than just set out a process, but it also sends a message to the police officers who are working for the city out on the street that as long as they're doing their job, the city will stand behind them, and they don't need to be second-guessing actions and decisions they have to make on the street in the split second. So that's the report of the subcommittee. As I said, the other subcommittee members may have more to add, and the only action item is the indemnification.
Okay. Any comments from other members of the subcommittee? Councilor Elliott?
I just want to add, Councilman Milazzo had brought up a good point to the chief in regards to that recent homicide and the girl that is being held for it was from a group home. And I know I had filed a motion a couple of weeks ago concerning group homes and notification process. And again, we're not trying to close group homes, but I think the point was well made that some of these homes are being run very well, whether it's Life Links or some of the others, but there are others that are not. And the chief cited two homes. One is for women, and then another one is for men. Since January 1st, the police have been called to the home for women 50 times, and he was concerned about it. Of course, some of them, he did mention some of the calls are, missing persons, but many of them are not. And the other home for young men, there were 60 calls since January 1st, and he indicated that's a very high number. So he's maintaining or trying to have a dialogue with these homes, but that's taken resources from police officers on the street to go and answer calls, disturbances, which that. It's a cause for concern, which further justifies the need to have some notification process when these homes are coming into the city. So I thought that was an important point that Councilman Milazzo did bring it up, and just wanted the people at home to know that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Caulfield?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Chief LaValle and his entire staff are doing a tremendous job, and it's very evident, Mr. Manager, if you're downtown or throughout the city, everyone seems happy with the way things are going as far as the police department is concerned. And a great deal of thanks should go to Sheriff DePaula, Middlesex County Sheriff's Office, the state police, and Chief LaValle indicated that the gang unit has been deployed 7 nights a week. Huge, huge difference. And to those who want to disobey the law, they know now that we mean business, and it was an excellent report, and I'm looking forward to working with the chief in years to come. Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? So, motion by Councilor Donahue to adopt the subcommittee recommendation on the indemnification policy, second by Councilor Armin Mercier. Roll call. Roll call on the motion to adopt the indemnification policy.
Councilor Mendonça?
Yes.
Councilor Broderick?
Yes.
Councilor Caulfield?
Yes.
Councilor Donahue?
Yes.
Councilor Elliott?
Yes.
Mayor Martin?
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier?
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo?
Yes.
9 yeas.
9 yeas, that policy is adopted. And motion to accept the balance of the subcommittee report by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Milonazo. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The report is accepted. Additional subcommittee reports, are there any? Okay, hearing none, we'll move to the petitions. There is one claim for property damage. Motion to refer to the Law Department by Councilor Caulfield, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That matter is referred to the Law Department. And we have a petition from Attorney James Flood concerning Lexi Development property, 1881, 1883 Middlesex Street, requesting no parking area as required by the Planning Board. This matter gets referred to the traffic engineer.
So moved.
A motion to refer to the traffic engineer by Councilor Armin Mercia, second by Councilor Broderick. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The matter is referred to the traffic engineer. On the motions this evening, the first is by Councilor Rita Mercia. Request the City Council invite City Councilors-elect Alan Kazanjian and Michael Lindsay to attend the remaining City Council meetings. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The motion speaks for itself in that I think it would be informative for them to be here to let them know how very hard we work.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yeah, could we also include sending them a packet so they could get familiar with what the packet is all about?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. I have just a few comments I want to add concerning this motion. So Councilor Milanazzo is going to assume the chair.
Go without saying.
Could have done it from there. We'd have let you do it from there.
The chair recognizes Mayor Martin.
I actually, I agree with this motion. I think it's a good motion, and also with Councilor Armin Mercia's addition. But I recall back when I came on the council at the end of 1999, and we had a series of meetings set up by the city manager to meet with at least the major departments in the city. I know we met with the police department, we met with the law department, with the city clerk's office, received a copy of the budget. And as time went on, in my time on the council, I found that to be helpful, that we got packets of materials, things about, say, the open meeting law, or just some basic things that these new councilors-elect may already be familiar with. I know both of them have served in government positions before, but I would just suggest to the city manager, if the new members were so inclined, that we at least make the offer available to them to get, just be like a half, not even a full half day, but maybe 40 minutes with 3 or 4 or 5 major departments. I think I found it to be helpful when I joined the council, and so I would just make that as a suggestion.
Good idea.
If there's no objection.
Manager Lynch.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a great idea. I've already had an opportunity to speak with both Mr. Kazanjian and Mr. Lindsay, and I did something similar to that when I was over in the other community I came from. And I know that when Councilman Johnson came on, we tried to set up some of those tours at his request as well. So I think it's a great idea. That type of orientation is very helpful, and I think it was my hope to get them this week's packet. So certainly moving forward, we will. I think that's another plus, so that they're right up to speed as they come on in January. But again, I think it's very useful to give them an opportunity to see what the departments are doing, and both of them are certainly well versed in what goes on in the city. But I think having that one-on-one time as a counselor will be very helpful to them, and we will move in that direction.
Yeah, good idea.
Councilor Eileen Donahue.
Do you think we should invite the little son to come back again, or is it something we said?
Let's make that a separate motion.
Correct, that's right. Councilor Caulfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think the motion is very apropos, but I think the gesture by Mayor Martin is equally as well, to bring these 2 new members of the council aboard and make them feel welcome and let them know exactly what's entailed for them. So I think it's
Terrific. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? To vote. Mayor Martin.
Okay, the next motion by Councilor Rita Mercia, City Council requests the city manager have the Lowell Police Department be more informative by utilizing E911, alerting neighborhoods of increases in crime in specific areas. Second by Councilor Broderick. Councilor Rita Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that the best ideas do not come from this council. They come from residents in the city that meet us along in a supermarket or wherever. This is exactly the gist of this particular motion here, where I ran into this lovely lady who said that she was concerned about her neighborhood meeting the other month, and it seemed like the sector commander was there, and he brought a CAD report as to all the crimes that took place in the immediate neighborhood. Now, this motion applies to not just Belvedere, which the lady happened to be talking about her Belvedere neighborhood meeting, but this pertains to every section of this city. In that I say the woman was concerned about a number of break-ins and vandalism that was taking place within two particular streets in Belvedere. And it was kind of troubling to hear that there were 7 break-ins in 2 particular streets. Now, she said, what can we do in advance to look at something like this? And I thought about the E911 or reverse 911. In any particular neighborhood, if a child is missing, we can reverse 911 to call the immediate neighborhood to alert them to be on the lookout for this particular child that is lost. And that's a good thing, but I'm thinking it can be more than just that. Why couldn't it be that when we go to any particular neighborhood meeting and they say, well, there were 2 break-ins or there were 2 cases of vandalism, why can't we stop this in the bud and E911 when we see a particular pattern happening in neighborhoods? For example, if in Pawtucketville, let's say the Highlands, let's say 2 particular streets in any of those neighborhoods where we see a pattern forming, why can't we alert and do a reverse 911 and say, be on guard for vandalism that's taken place on these 2 particular streets that could happen in your street. It could go over to the next street. I don't know why we can't do that. So with this motion, I'd like to refer it to you, Mr. Manager, and when you have your meeting tomorrow, if someone from the police department is there, let us hear from Chuck Willett, let's say, as to what can we expect from a E911? What is it all about? Is it possible that we can alert certain crime patterns that are happening in different neighborhoods to E911, the neighbors? And if they're not home, does that actually come on your answering machine? That let's say I come home from work and I listen to my message and someone there from the police department is saying there's a particular pattern of break-ins in vehicles happening in your immediate neighborhood, be on the alert. I think that the ultimate goal is to have this woman that gave me this concern go to another neighborhood meeting in let's say 3 months and say, well, there was maybe one case of vandalism, where if we didn't do the reverse 911, maybe there would have been 7 more, but it just happened there was 1. So what can we expect from this? Could we do this? Is it possible? I don't know. It's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Manager?
Councilor, I think that's a tremendous idea. I don't know if technologically it can, if there are any limitations on it. I know I'm certainly familiar with the reverse 911 system, and I think it can be used for any number of, particularly if it's tied in with our number of uses, particularly if it's tied in with the GIS system, so that you can isolate the areas in question and give people some notice. So, and I know that there is some new generation reverse 911 systems that have more capabilities, but I certainly think it's we wouldn't want to use it for every single crime, but particularly, as you point out, if we have a rash of break-ins or a rash of vandalism in the area, that we can let those people know if we start to see patterns. And the ComStat meetings are held every 2 weeks. They should be able to see that happening pretty quickly and get that word out. So I'll follow up with the police on that. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved. Next motion is by Councilor Elliott, I believe. The city council requests the city manager report on marketing efforts regarding Lowell Devils to increase ticket sales at the arena. Second by Councilor Caulfield. Councilor Elliott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually filed this last Thursday, and lo and behold, when I picked the newspaper up on Sunday, there was an article essentially discussing a lot of the concerns that I had. Actually, it was a follow-up from Councilor Donohue's motion from the prior week regarding empty seats at the arena. And, the same concerns, still have the same concerns that, I had or this council had last year on getting additional ticket sales. And naturally, my interest is the more sales that are generated, at a certain level, the city starts to get revenue back. And the only way to do that is to go out and market the team. And I quite frankly haven't seen it. So I want to find out what the plans are, what are they doing, and according to the newspaper article, they don't seem to be doing much. And so, Mr. Manager, can you get us a report? Can you update us on what their plans are? Quite frankly, I don't see them making a lot of effort, and I think we have, there's a lease in place that makes it possible for them to run a team, sort of groom their players, move them down to New Jersey, and all the while the city is footing the bill. And when we went into this agreement, they sold us a bill of goods that we're going to have a new management team, a new logo, and we're going to fill the seats, or at least increase attendance. And according to the article I read, the Devils are on pace to have the lowest attendance in the AHL. And that's not helping our cause. I do see UMass Lowell Riverhawks. They're out, pressing people in the community. Their numbers are increasing. That's a good thing. I don't see that from the Devils. And, if they think they're, they have an option, I guess, the 09 and 010, that's just, that's sort of a slap, I think, to the city that they're just here. They know they had that lease. We don't want to go through legal loopholes, but if we have to, then I think that's the road that we should take, because I don't think they're living up to the end of the bargain, quite frankly. So that's the motion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I see that there is some concerns that they're running against the Red Sox and the Patriots from Mr. Gates, and that may be correct, but Manchester and Worcester don't seem to be having those difficulties either. So that's the motion anyway, Mr. Manager. I don't know if you have anything to add, but I guess, again, more frustration. We get the Devils. What can we do to help, or have them get going?
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Armin Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the manager. The contract that we have with the Devils, does it have a specific item that deals with their effort for marketing that needs to take place? Is there anything in that contract that suggests that they must be doing this, and this? Because if there is, it seems to me that they're not holding up to it, and that could be a violation of the contract. But I don't know if that exists in the contract.
Mr. Manager.
Councilor, I'll defer to the city solicitor on the specifics of the language in the contract, but I would agree that's certainly an area that we need to look at in terms of their living up to their end of the contract, of the bargain. And but the solicitor, I believe, has some relevant information.
There is a provision in there that specifies things that should be done in terms of marketing for the Devils, but there is also additional language in there, I believe, that indicates that failure to meet those goals shall not be deemed a breach of the contract. We'll take another look at that, but I'm pretty sure that's the language that's in there.
So the contract says you should be doing this, but if you don't worry about it?
But if you don't meet those goals, that will not constitute a breach of the contract.
Just curious as to why you put it in if you're not going to be able to enforce it. No, I really think it's a serious matter, because the Riverhawks, through the chancellor, are doing better marketing and better results than the Devils are doing through their marketing activity. So I was hoping that maybe the contract would require them to be doing certain things.
Again, I'll take a look at it. I'll give the council a report. I'll give you the exact language that's in there. And I think it was in there more of a clause as that this is what is hoped for, anticipated, a good faith effort to do it. But by the same token, if you don't meet those goals, this is not one of the provisions that would constitute a breach of the contract. But I'll double check on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilor Mercia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have some thoughts segueing into Councilor Elliott's motion here when we're talking about marketing the Devils. And I'm talking about marketing this city, and I'm referring to the downtown coordinator. I don't know who that is. I know the name, I don't know the person, but this is what I'm thinking about right here. Something isn't right in the city when you have events coming in and the people are coming out of these venues and there's nothing open downtown for them to go to, like a restaurant. Something is not clicking here right. We're not on the same page. I want people to come into the city, go to the auditorium or go to the Spinners or go to the Songus Arena for whatever, and come out and be able to say, gee, I don't know what restaurant to choose. Can they open up in the evening and stay closed maybe in the daytime or whatever? The businesses downtown, and namely the restaurants, should get on the same page with every event that's taken place and say, you know what, we're not going to open this day, this day, this day, or maybe during lunchtime or whatever, but we're going to have another crew at night so that when these people get out at 10:30, 11 o'clock, these places are going to be open. Do they only have one shot on Gorham Street to go all the way down there, and there's venues, restaurants right here that aren't open? Something is wrong with that picture. When we're talking about marketing, these are the things that I'm talking about. There's many more things that we could do to say, gee, I want to go out to eat, but let's go to an event and circle this, coincide this together. Why can't we have people that will market the city, let's say the Devils, and say, well, why don't we say an event and a meal? And let's say that this next event is Tingsboro night, and people from Tingsboro get a deal here. And next time is Westford night, or the outskirts of Boston night. Why can't we improvise and think like that? I think these are good marketing tools. It isn't all about Lowell. It's embracing other communities and saying, oh my God, next week is Chelmsford night. Let's give them a meal and a package or whatever. And this is what I'm thinking it's all about, and I don't see it happening. The worst thing that could happen is we're coming out of the Spinners or we're coming out of the Songus Arena at the Devils game, and everything's closed around. Where are we going? We're going home, and maybe we're not coming back. And that's what I'm thinking about.
Well, Councilor Milanazzo, did you have something?
Yes, I again, just picking up on some of what Councilor Rita Mercier is saying, I do think now through the Lowell Plan's renewed efforts in marketing, as well as working with Deb Belange's Convention and Visitors Bureau, I think some of that is going on. And just anecdotally, a friend of mine from Atkinson, New Hampshire, had an event at the auditorium and ended up, going for dinner here in Lowell, and called me and said he just had a tremendous time at the auditorium and then dinner downtown. Also, the new restaurant downtown, Centros, is actually now open on Sundays, so I think you're going to see some more restaurants opening on Sunday. But I don't know if it makes some sense. I know that Councilor Kevin Broderick's involved in the marketing effort with the Lowell Plan. If it makes some sense to invite that marketing effort, people that represent that marketing effort, as well as Chris Ciceri and Sean Cody from the Devils, to an economic development subcommittee meeting, and just put it to them, what are your plans? What are you doing? We read this article in the newspaper. It's obvious to us that you're not now advertising in the newspaper, but what else are you doing? What are you doing to reach out to the business community or other communities in the greater Lowell area that Councilor Rita Mercier talks about? So it may make some sense to invite them to an economic development subcommittee along with the marketing team.
Okay. Councilor Broderick and the manager.
Thank you. Councilor Milanazzo alluded to the fact that the Lowell Plan has re-engaged and is looking to participate again financially, I hope, with the city's marketing effort, in the ongoing marketing effort. Obviously, we've had some subcommittee meetings, and we haven't had one in a while. I think the last one was left with the city manager to go back, look at what we're doing, what we're not doing, and come up with the first off a strategy. We've had the cultural plan that suggests that we go back to a lot to like about Lowell, come up with a message, and then target. We have to get a target. What are we shooting for? What are we looking for here? And that's been a major concern that I and most of the council have had, is that we have a ballpark. People drive in, park, get back in the car, and drive back and eat on their way home. And the difficulty is we can't at this point dictate to restaurant owners, you have to be open, Sundays or certain nights during the baseball season or hockey season. But trying to come up with a plan, and hopefully we can get another subcommittee meeting shortly, Mr. Manager, if you have some more information together, to give them offer them something, whether it's validated parking, a reduced rate through the Mark O'Neill is on the subcommittee for the Lowell plan, a reduced rate for advertising or more runs for the same price. It doesn't cost them as much to run the same ad a number of times more. But different things to be able to offer them, to say, this is what we want down here. This is what we're willing to offer you. You need to sign on and you need to participate if you want to benefit. It's unfortunate. It would seem to make sense that if there's going to be a game around the corner, you would want your store or your restaurant to be open. It's not happening. And right now, to say you have to be open, we can't interfere with the tenant-landlord relationships. But I think that if we can come up with a plan, and I believe one is in the works and hopefully close. Chuck Carney's been working out some numbers and things with the parking, to be able to come up with a plan to offer something, especially coming into the holiday season for some of the retailers and the restaurants downtown, to be able to offer something to say, if you are willing to keep these hours, this is what you can get as a benefit, in addition to hopefully making more money, which should be the carrot that draws them in. But also some of the local venues, such as the auditorium, that have been very successful and have many, many years. Tommy McKay's participating in talking about group buying. The buying power would be better for advertising, to be able to get back into the Boston Globe and other markets. It's a number of things. Electronic, people sharing their lists. SMG has a list of who they target for country music, and but to try and coordinate with the restaurants so people know the schedules, and that it makes it easy for someone calling up to get tickets to come to a show in Lowell to click and make a reservation to a restaurant in Lowell, and know that it's easy, it's safe, and it's done. Those are all things that I think are in the works that I think will be a huge benefit. But to get back to the whole hockey use, that obviously is going to be an issue for the city in the use and cost of the arena. But the marketing thing, I think maybe we can hopefully set something up shortly and have some ideas and invite people that have been participating in the meeting with the manager as well to try and move that forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor
You've got to
Donahue.
put people in the seats, though. I mean, if you expect the stores to open or the restaurants to open, they're not going to open if there's nobody in the seats. So the marketing effort has to come from the devils as well as us. So that's very important. I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's okay.
this.
Councilor Donahue.
Thank you. I think part of the problem is, and everybody's eager to see everything work, whether it's marketing and so forth. And I think that's why 2 years ago, this community, so many went way overboard trying to save hockey, even though for 10 years it didn't seem to catch on. But the community came together and tried to sell tickets to save this team and tried to put people in the seats. And unfortunately, came up against a corporate tenant who drove a very hard bargain, and the city came out on the losing end of that lease. It is the lease that we have, and it's a lousy lease. And, so they exercised their option for 2 more years, unfortunately, because it's, it financially it isn't helping the city. And so, when we are so eager to get things done, sometimes, I think what happened was the city just gave away too much. Just gave away too much in not just the rent, but, the options, the idea. Councilor Elliott's absolutely right. I sat in those meetings. I heard the management of that team come in and promise the sun, moon, and stars as far as marketing. We were going to see a new day. We were going to see professional hockey. We were going to see management that we hadn't seen before. And so, but unfortunately, we can't, I won't make a judgment, but it may not be enough to say, okay, the lease is breached because you haven't done your marketing, So it's just, it's frustrating to, go through this exercise, and the desire's the same today as it was 2 years ago, and that is, let's make this work. And the city's done everything it can to try and make this work. And right now you have a corporate, giant who's saying, you know what, this isn't in our best interest. We're saving the bucks. If you guys want to market us, go ahead. And that, I think, is wrong. That is wrong. And so I think we have to balance, some common sense here and look at the city. Marketing has been a very successful thing that the city has done over these past years. But we also have to be sensible and not give away the store again to, someone that is not a true partner. We do have some true partners in the city, and that's all I have to say. I mean, it's disappointing. And that's why I'm very interested to know, what are the real numbers? What are the real numbers of attendance? Who's really coming to those games through the turnstiles, whether it's the Devils, whether it's the University Mass, because we are completely, sitting here guessing in terms of feet in the street, and unless you have the critical mass, you can't say to a small business owner, put your staff on, open the doors, and they're not, they're losing money. When we see those reports, which was talked about earlier, when we see the reported numbers in the paper, there's not truth in numbers to that, because that doesn't give you an idea of who's actually there. I don't really care how many people bought season tickets and have no intention of ever coming there, because if they don't come to the game, they're not spending money going out and about. And so I think those are facts that we all need in order to make decisions going forward. We have to, play the hand that's dealt us, but, be cautious about getting into these deals again.
Thank you. Mr. Manager, do you have something to add?
Well, if I could just respond to a few different points here. I think the notion of having the Devils in makes sense, to have them into the Economic Development Subcommittee to talk about what they're doing with regards to marketing. And I think, if I may suggest, Mr. Sheehan's going to be meeting this week to pull together the information to respond to Councilor Donohue's motion of last week, to start to look at these numbers, and as part of that also talk about some of the marketing ideas or marketing initiatives they've had. Early on in this season, they did contact us and talk to us about signage and the number of locations, and I don't think much really came of that. And they were looking at a number of other marketing issues. Apparently, they've stopped advertising in the Lowell Sun, and I know that did not go over well with the Sun. But they have to be out there marketing and have to be trying to put people in the seats for them to be successful, and for us then to have the mass of people coming into the city that are looking for the restaurants. And it is very difficult for us to get the restaurants to have regular hours that coincide with some of these events if there aren't people coming in, or if there aren't if there aren't going to be other people around in the city, they're going to utilize the restaurants at that time. But we are still moving forward to try to put together a real marketing. We have had some ideas that came out of the Downtown Summit, joint marketing efforts. I think that's spun off. That, along with the completion of the cultural plan, has gotten the Lowell plan back working with us on a more of a joint marketing effort. And I think we're going to have some ideas that come out of that. We are looking at ways to, now that the cultural plan is done, we're looking at ways that we can restructure our marketing efforts and tying it in with many of the cultural opportunities that go on here in the city. And I certainly think we need to include the ballpark, the arena, as part of that whole cultural, opportunities that take place in the city. So, I'm hopeful that, we'll be able to have something to bring to the marketing subcommittee probably sometime within the next, I would say, 4 weeks or thereabouts, with some ideas of what's been done over the last year. I mean, one thing that we did do is that came out of the Downtown Summit was an idea of pretty much using a phone number and a website from the CVB to have a concierge service. People that are coming to Lowell, that read about Lowell, that can log on to our website or make a phone call and say, look, and I'm going to be there, I'm going to be going to a concert at the auditorium. What other restaurants are there? We're hopeful that type of service will start to pay dividends for us, and we'll be looking at those numbers. But I do think that our marketing has been very successful here in the city, but I think it needs an overhaul. It needs better coordination, and simultaneous to that, obviously, we need to work at the issue of having anything that happens at the arena, whether it be the Devils, the Riverhawks, concerts. When people leave there, or before they go in there, there have to be places for them to go to eat. There have to be shops that are open, and that's been a constant battle in the downtown area of trying to get that consistency, so that when people come through Lowell on a Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, that they see things that are open, they see life, they see that there's places to go, and it's something we are working on, but happy to get more information to report to the council on that in the near future.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Manager. Councilor Elliott?
Thank you, Mayor. Just to follow up, and these are all good ideas when it comes to marketing, but I keep coming back to, the bottom line over at that arena. And somehow we've got to stop the bleeding in the money that we're losing over in the arena. And the Devils is one way to do that. And, that's why, we went into this with the revenue sharing. And if they're not, and I understand there is no provision that, and marketing will not, lack of marketing is not going to constitute a breach of the contract. However, part of their obligation is to sell more tickets, because part of their lease is to give money back to the city after a certain, after a certain number of tickets. And that's supposed to bring revenue into the arena, to close that gap, to close that deficit. And if they're not spending money in marketing, then they're not trying to reach out to sell more tickets to get revenue back to the city. And that is specifically stated in the lease. So, I hope they do step up their efforts, because, there's also a clause in that lease that's subject to appropriation. And if the city just we just can't keep dumping money into that arena, because it is losing money. And, that's hurting other aspects of running the city. So, hopefully something can be worked out, but I don't think that we can afford, nor should we afford, to put money into arena that's just going to blatantly lose money for the next 2 years because they have exercised their option. So look forward to the Economic Development Subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion is approved. That concludes the agenda. Councilor Donahue?
I just have one matter to bring up. I guess I should do it under motion to suspend the rules to talk about voting in the election. Second.
Motion to suspend the rules to talk about the eleation. Councilor Donahue, second by Councilor
I bring
Broderick.
this up just,
Any objection?
I wasn't on the ballot, but I'm not saying this for any reason, votes gained, lost, or what have you. But I did hear a number of complaints or tales of voting, and I know we've had 3 elections in the past couple of months, but could we look into this, Mr. Manager, stories ranging from, people at some of the polls trying to be helpful, pointing out, explaining ballots to people, not allowed, and someone, showing up, not being on the list, having a very difficult time voting, putting their name down, writing it, sealing the envelope, and yet it not making its way, or they don't believe it made its way down to City Hall. People showing up and being told they already voted, or I guess it was on the radio, Councilor Mercier, that someone said they voted for themselves and went to another poll and voted for their brother. Anyway, when you have start getting a critical mass of these stories. I'm not blaming anybody, but I think it warrants an inquiry to the Election Commission, and also a report as to irregularities, how they were handled, and what kind of training is being utilized for. Some of the people who work the polls are wonderful. I've seen them every single year, every single election. They know what to do. But let's just make sure, because I don't think anyone would intentionally violate the law. But it sounds to me like there were more than your average share of irregularities this election last week. So if we can get a report.
If we could get some sort of report on how the alignments takes place. Endicott Street in Lowell, half of the people on Endicott Street were able to vote at the McGavin School. The other half, which are neighbors, had to go to the Polish club. And there was a concern to them, and they did go vote. But it almost suggested that, in fact, one person wrote to me and said, is it because I'm independent? And I said, that clearly is not the case, but it doesn't seem to make it, it's almost like the busing thing. You know, you got a school across the street, yet they bus you across the city. This same street, half people had to go to the Polish club from Endicott Street in Pawtuckaville, and the other half could walk right to the McAvenny School. If there's nothing that'll, you know, discourage people from going to the polls, it's something like that. So if we could just take a look, how did those alignments shape up? How does that happen? I'd appreciate it.
And is this the state that tells us that?
I believe it is, Counselor, so, but
Well,
we'll
then
we'll
let's
get you
talk
a
to the
report
state.
on that.
Okay, any further discussion on that topic? Motion to adjourn by Councilor Broderick, second by Councilor Elliott. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Meeting stands adjourned.